Hey, beautiful people. How are we doing? I am Anitra N. Lawson, storyteller, producer, educator, and content creator. He is Dr. Andre Evans. Say what's up.
What's going on, good people?
He is a pastor, a father, a brother. What else am I forgetting? All the other goofy things.
You don't need to say too much. We're good.
Keep it simple.
Keep it real simple.
We are the Savage Siblings, and this is the Savage Siblings podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. Thank you for joining us. We are into the throes of season 2.
Yeah.
And so glad you're here. Bro, how's it going?
It's going well, doing well. I just want to shout out to all of our Savage siblings who are enjoying this ride that we are calling this podcast, the Savage Siblings podcast. Thank you all for always tuning in. Nikki, I continue to get a lot of shout outs, a lot of moments where people are texting me, emailing me. So I think we're doing all right. I think we're doing a pretty decent thing here. Just want to continue to encourage everybody that wherever you are listening to this podcast, would you just rate us? Would you give a comment? The more ratings we get, the more Savage Siblings we can reach. The more comments and shares, all those things that we get, the more impact we have. And we really want to just create this community of siblings all over the world.
Right.
And so if you'll do that for us, we really appreciate it. So I just had to give that shout out real quick.
100%.
How am I doing? It's so funny. It never fails. Every time we produce an episode, every time we get ready to record an episode, whatever that topic is, I feel like I have this organic experience in life that kind of lets me know or gives more depth to what it is I might want to talk about. So Corey, my youngest, for those of you who don't know, Corey is a senior in high school this year. So she is preparing to walk into both young adulthood and the college experience. And she's really just kind of walking out of my life in a way that says, like, I don't need you anymore as a parent.
Moving on.
And so I'm kind of making that shift from parent to really cheerleader. So I'm just, as I'm ending this season as a parent, as Corey is in her last year of high school and she's kind of preparing for college, and, you know, she's going to, whether she, you know, goes out of San Diego or stays in San Diego, she'll still move into a dorm. She'll still move into adulthood. There's this part of me that just really wants to make sure, like, she doesn't forget about me, right? This part of me is just, because no, I'm serious, and I just need her to make sure that I just need to know that she's gonna, you know, check on me. Like, no, I see you laughing, but it's in this moment where I'm realizing that I'm starting to exhibit these childlike behaviors, where she has to turn around and be like, "Dad, are you whining that I'm, you know?" I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" Because all she's known all her life of me is, you know, don't do that, behave this way, you know, don't talk like that, do this, do your homework, you know, play the sport, you know what I mean? This very parental figure. And now that it's very real, she's about to leave. Now all of a sudden, I'm like, "What you doing? Who you talking to? You going to the movie? Can I go with you?"
Right.
You know, and it's this real childlike clingy behavior.
Oh.
And I you know, here I am, you know, the truth is, you know, I am 12 years divorced, but what I'm realizing is, from that moment of where it's just been this single fatherhood, my girls have become my best friend.
Yeah.
Right? So all three of them, Daniela, Corinne, and Corey, have become my best friend. And as a result of them becoming my best friend, now that they're all adult, like, and I'm looking around, you know, Corey ain't text me today. You know, because Daniela don't text me.
Getting possessive.
Right. Corinne don't text. Corey, like, who you talking to? You ain't talking to me. And so I'm starting to see these signs that are letting me know that I'm needing to be cared for by my girls. And I'm going to tell you what's funny.
Aw.
It's then, whenever they're with me and they're at my place, I know that this shift is happening to where I'm becoming childlike because the behaviors, the way I take care of myself isn't what it used to be. Because Corey left the other day, having seen my refrigerator, and she was like, "Dad, I'm worried about you." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "You ain't got no food in your refrigerator. You ain't got no groceries." And I'm thinking to myself, right? That's what mom and dad used to say to me when they first saw me, in college. And then it was when I do, spend time with the girls and I'm eating over there. Corinne the other day was like, "Dad, slow down. You act like you starving. Like, do you feed yourself?" Because they're genuinely concerned. Right. Breathe before, chew, brother. Chew. And so they're really just, trying to make sure I'm going to be okay. They're trying to make sure I'm all right. And the thing is because I'm fighting off this shift, I'm now in this internal emotional struggle of I can make it by myself. I've done this before. I can do this. Right? I can do this. I'm okay. I don't need them. And now it's just become this moment. Now when I see Corey, I got this wall up. Like, I don't need you. I don't need you. What you in my space
stop
for?
by today, huh?
Right. Now you right. Like, you only talk to me when you want to ride. And she's like, "But Dad, I literally just told you about my life. I really just shared with you my deepest hurts, and this is how you treat me." And so I'm fighting off kind of that last little bit of not wanting to lose control of my ability to be a dad, but it's there. Like she graduates this year, and then all three of the girls no longer need me as a parent.
I'm seeing them when they were so little. It's like, oh man,
right,
yeah,
right. So that's what it's been these past couple of weeks, months, even. Especially with, Corinne, my middle daughter, who's home, for a break, especially with her, who, with seeing them both together, and she's here, but she's not here.
Right.
because she's moved on to adulthood. Yeah. And so we talk about adult things now. And I'm like, well, what happened? To talk about boy bands. You used to love boy bands.
Father.
Right, exactly. Why are we talking about?
Do you remember how old I am?
Right. Like, I don't understand.
Look, you start singing, "You are." She's like, no, I'm not going to fill it in. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Right. And see, but that's a real statement. Like, I'm walking around the house singing the first part of a lyric and nothing. Yep. Nobody joins me.
You look around the corner like,
me.
Nothing? Nobody?
Right. Nobody joins me. All I get is that I'm doing homework. Okay, fine, whatever.
The earpods in.
Exactly. I'm looking like, are y'all listening to me? Y'all hearing me? Nothing. Okay, whatever. So that's been this week for me, is just the realization that I'm about to move from parent to cheerleader, and that's real. But it's all good. I'm gonna be all right. I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
Chippy.
I don't know. If I keep telling myself I'll be all right, I'll be all right. So but what about you? What about you? What's been going on?
I love it. Now I kind of feel, I don't feel bad, but I think I'm in a completely opposite place. Obviously, Malachi is much younger. So this is what I've been labeling kind of my headspace this week is, being comfortable staying in the moment.
Yeah.
Which is really code for not stopping whatever I'm doing.
Right.
To do something else. So for anybody out there who's mad at me because I haven't responded to the text message or the email,
right, that part.
Just know, right now I'm comfortable staying in the moment. This is good for me. Unfortunately for my son and our mom, sometimes they're like, "So you just not gonna cook dinner? You just not gonna
right?
We just not gonna eat? We just not gonna go to school today? Like, what's happening?" I'm in the moment, right? So, but. Honestly, in all truth, it's been a really good practice for me to because I used to feel really bad, like if I was working on something or writing something or focused here, then I'd get text messages or emails or people would stop by, or I'd always just stop, and you find that you really don't accomplish nearly as much. So
Right.
This week it's been good for me to just kind of stay in the moment till completion for certain things and then jump out. But trust me, your nephew and our mother both probably been like, you're still in the moment.
Right.
we need to
Is
eat.
there room in the moment for us?
So it's been good, but yeah, that's good. So let's go ahead and jump into this sound off segment.
Sound off segment. Sound off.
No doubt. Sound off segment. So we're entitling this episode and it's funny, y'all gonna meet any sibling set that, well, I ain't even siblings at this point. Anybody has adult parents,
right?
You're gonna get this in a minute. But we're titling this episode Because I Said So. Because I said so. And immediately what I thought of, and I'm wondering if others are thinking of, is just that parent that says something to do, and you as a child, you a little inquisitive. You might be like, but why? Like, can you help me understand? Like, we genuinely just want understanding.
Yes.
And as a parent, like, sometimes you don't either A, feel like giving understanding, or B, there is no understanding. There's just action you need right now, right?
Exactly.
Like, I can't even tell you why. I just need you to do this. Why? Because I said so. And so what's funny to me, what story came to my mind immediately was it's had to be it's definitely within the last year. Mm-hmm. And I can't pinpoint the exact time, but when I called Mom, and apparently you had just dropped her and Malachi off at the rec center for Malachi's like swim lessons or something. I don't know. Right. And Mom, no, I think even Mom, she may have been doing something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Either way, you had just dropped her off at the rec center. And what she said in the conversation is I'm waiting on Nikki to come back and get me. And I felt so vindicated in that moment. I really did. I felt so empowered in that moment. Like, I really felt like, I don't know, Diana Ross was singing, I'm coming out, and that, like, singing like a song that would like strengthen my resolve as a human being. Because I said to Mom in that moment, like, wait a minute, Nikki dropped you off at the rec center? Yeah. You're done with your activity? Yeah. And now you waiting on her to come back? Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah. How does it feel? Like, how does it feel? Like, I wanted to play that D'Angelo song in the background. Right. Like, how does it feel? Like, because I'm like, you don't know how many times you dropped me off at the rec center. I had been done for hours waiting on you to pick me up. And you come in gallivanting slow and steady in your car. Like, you ain't no sense of urgency. No sense of concern for your son in the middle of the night at a rec center that's been closed now for 3.5 hours. And a janitor mad as all get out. Like, I'm trying to go home.
I got to stay here. I don't need that much overtime.
Right. And you just lollygagging up. Like you not in the wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this felt so good in this moment because it was like, and the student, the master is now the student. Now the parent is now the child. Yeah. And it was like, and in that moment, I'm telling you, I said, well, why didn't you take, you and Malachi get on the bus? And she said, well, no, Nikki said she'd pick us up. And I said, no, what Nikki said is you better be here waiting on her because she said so. And Mom just started laughing. Mom just started laughing.
Better not go nowhere.
You better not go nowhere.
Don't go to use the bathroom. Don't go 2 steps to the right or the left. I don't care
that your little water aerobics have been over for 3.5 hours. You better be right where I need you to be when it comes time to pick you up.
But I'm hungry. Too bad.
I don't care.
Swallow your spit.
Right. Swallow your spit. That's exactly it. But yeah, that moment, I was like, yeah, this is what life is about. This is it. This is reaching that moment where you can turn to your parents and be like, you gonna do this. But why? Because I said so. It was great. And so I just want to thank you for that. And I need you to keep dropping your mama off at the rec center.
I want the listeners to know I felt guilty. I felt guilty after that. It was like,
whatever.
Okay, let me get there a little faster. I was actually doing work, but let me get there faster.
Whatever. But that's what this kind of episode is what we want to really dive into. And so Nikki, are there any moments like that for you where you're just, because I said so, that feeling that you get? Have there been any moments like that for you with our parents?
Man, absolutely. I kept thinking of that familiar adage that you actually had to make sure I knew it wasn't biblical, but that phrase that, once a man, twice a child.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like the older I get and the more time I spend, with our mom, with our parents, you start to see that shift of, okay, wait a minute.
Right.
You need a little, I didn't know, you need a little guidance, right? You need a little help right here. Okay. And let me be clear. One of the biggest blessings in the last 4 years for myself and Malachi, has been our mom coming.
Sure.
To moving from Ohio to California to live with us. I want to be very clear about that. She has been a tremendous blessing. But obviously, when you start to live as an adult with your adult parents, you start to see that shift. You start to see that adjustment that, maybe you need to check in to make sure, okay, did she take her medication?
Right.
Doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
Before you didn't think about that because you weren't there on the day-to-day, but then you start to see and you're like, okay, I need to do that. But I never knew I was going to actually have to be like the social media police. And first of all, we all know that when your parents start to get on the social media platforms that you're on, that's like a telltale sign of that platform is dying, right? Like, especially if your parents are 60s plus and they're starting to TikTok or they're starting, they had Snapchat for a couple years. That's a sure telltale sign that app is falling off, right?
Absolutely.
And so our mom, she's been on Facebook for years, and I got off over a decade ago.
Yeah.
But she's been there, and bro, you and I had this conversation because, there's a certain etiquette, right? Like you definitely have to have some experience with the social media to understand the pros and cons, how to make it work for you. Right. But you never think that your adult parents need you to actually protect them. So our mom was on Facebook, and I think I came out of the bedroom and she was in the living room, and I can always tell when she's getting stressed about anything. Sometimes it's paying a bill, and stress just meaning she's usually dealing with the technology of it. Right. And so she had that look on her face, and I thought, okay, clearly something's happening. Let me see if I need to help, which speaks to a couple other things we'll get to this episode. But I was like, Mom, you good? So she had her credit card or debit card out. She had her phone and she had the laptop computer all set up. And I knew, okay, this is the makings of a disaster. I need to intervene. And she was trying to figure out how to fill out this document because there was this request that had come through her Facebook account to get her personal information, her social security, banking information. And the request had come from someone who she thought was a friend. And this profile had her friend's picture, had some other things labeled there. And it was all about, hey, there's this great opportunity, but I need some help. So if you help me and give me this information, which is all personal information, then that'll help both of us get this amount. And this was all kind of bankrolled during, the height of the pandemic when a lot of scams and things are happening. So it's like, oh, you can get this and the government is involved. And so here's the blessing. I believe she was in the process of actually filling out wherever this link had sent her to. Lord and thank God for, technical mishaps and for a lag in being technically savvy. Because that's probably the only reason why I'd have known something was going on, because she was frustrated. She was flustered. She couldn't get it to work. And I finally was like, well, what is this? And so then her friend from Ohio supposedly said that. And I started looking, bro. And I was like, so do you and, let's say the lady's name is Catherine. Do you and Miss Catherine normally communicate this way? She said, no. We usually just pick up the phone. I said, yeah, don't you guys talk like almost every day or every other day? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talked to her today? Yeah, we talked earlier.
Did you mention it?
Did she mention that she needed all of your personal information for this government assistant to help both of y'all? And don't she got a husband?
Right.
All this is going through my head. But she's like, yeah, but that's her picture. And I'm like, okay. And when you got to think about it, that generation,
Yes.
The assumption is if the picture's there, if the name is there, it's gotta be them.
It's gotta be them.
That's like, oh, it was on the news, so it's gotta be true, right? Gotta Channel 9 reported it. There's no way that it can't be accurate. And so Robo, when I tell you, I literally started to sound like our mother and was like, give me that card. Get over there. Sit. Don't delete. This whole account is being deactivated. I just went in.
Listen. We treated her like true mother and father because when you told me, it was one of those ones like, wait till your father get home, and I laid into her. I was like,
you don't know.
Are you kidding me? What were you thinking? Absolutely.
And when I tell y'all, she has no social media accounts today.
None. She's permanently on punishment. We took her phone, her laptop, her internet,
parental codes on it.
Right? We got parental codes.
I got to get a text message. Allow. I said, you barely gonna get to use YouTube.
Right. Oh my God.
It's so funny. And so, when you think about, once a man, twice a child, or like you said, because I said so.
Yeah.
It is like you get to that point where you're like, what were you thinking? And so the core is that, there's a space where we become the protectors, or we become the individuals that are trying to focus on. And I really want to use this phrase here because that's really what parenting is, what they do for us, improving their way of life. Like that's really the focus is.
That's really the focus.
What do I need to do to improve your way of life? And our parents did that for us for years. Mm-hmm. And so as we explore this topic in our episode, we are calling it Because I Said So, but that Because I Said So comes full circle because our parents were protecting us. And now we're saying, because I said so. Yeah, you're going to drink that water. You're going to go to bed. What you going to do?
Right. You're going to take this medicine.
Because I said so. So I agree
go to your
with
room.
You. It feels so good. You right? Close that door.
Go to your room. Close your door.
So
we walk in this door. You don't want nothing. You don't need nothing. Don't ask for nothing. Don't make me drop kick your bleep all over this door.
And don't be doing those little, sweet eyes at people so they think I'm mistreating you.
Right. Exactly. I will pinch the hell out of your side.
Right. Underneath the arm, but the delicate meat.
Right.
You'd be like, blink twice, right? If you blink it all. That's so good. But so, we're going to dig in, but I want to take a moment. Let's shout out our sponsor for the episode, S2 Mediaworks, the media production company my brother and I co-founded. Super grateful to even launch this company. And we're dedicated to creating content to educate, to empower, inspire, and encourage positive influence through original storytelling and narratives. Our mission is to provide transformational education and resources because we believe in healthy and productive living. And we love to do that through creative storytelling. So we're dedicated to giving you guys life-changing, life-giving content in everything that we do. And this podcast, the Savage Sibling Podcast, is a product of S2 Mediaworks lineup. So please continue to track with us online. Thank you again for joining us for this episode. We're so glad you're here. All right, bro, are you ready to get savage?
Absolutely. Let's get savage. It's definitely that time. It's so funny. The other day, Corinne was doing laundry. And I noticed she had some mannerisms that I have in doing the laundry that obviously she got from me in doing the laundry. And the focus wasn't so much on the mannerisms as much as it was that there are definitely some things I passed down generation to generation as a parent to the child that she has and that she carries. And when I really thought about that, and I remember the first time she watched me washing clothes. And I said, we put the dirty laundry into the washing machine, and I said, you got to make sure you measure the detergent just right because, and I remember looking at the clothes. I said, well, y'all filthy, y'all dirty. Like, I don't understand how these clothes got this way. So now I got to do the extra special ratio with the washing detergent because of what y'all doing. And so you measure it according to the filth that's on the clothes. And I remember I put it in there and she said, well, what does it do? And I said, well, during the wash cycle, what it does is the detergent helps separate the dirt from the fabric, from the material. And it does that by agitating the water. agitating the
That's good.
clothing and agitating the dirt, and it agitates through a cleansing process. And then you get this spin cycle, and that spin cycle is to make sure that that which was separated stays off of the clothes, stays from being placed back on the clothes.
That's good.
And I remember then showing her how to measure enough fabric softener for the rinse cycle, because we got to make sure that the fabric softener does what it does to ensure keep those clothes protected, so that whatever was separated doesn't come back and find itself back on the clothes, so that when the wash is done, the clothes remain clean and they're protected. And you know they're done because they've gone through this final spin cycle to ensure, like I said, that nothing gets back on the clothes that was previously, taken off. And so then now here's Corinne washing clothes, and I'm like, do you need everything? And she said, no, I've got the detergent, I've got the fabric softener, I've got everything that I need. And I said, you learned well. And in that moment, I'm going to tell you what I saw as a parent. I saw the life cycle as a parent. Yeah. Because in that life cycle, when we're raising our children, in that moment where, so there's raising your children and rearing your children, right? And as you're rearing your children, you're saying, I got to separate some stuff out of your life that impacted my life, and I don't want them to impact your life. There's impacting society. I don't want it to impact your society. But there's this balancing act as a parent, where we got to make sure we're putting in enough love, as well as enough lessons that have to be learned, putting in enough care, as well as enough character. We got to put in enough reward, as well as reprimands. And that's that balance. And and it's measured different with each one of our children. Like I did, all of that was different with Daniela than it was with Corinne, and different from Corinne than it was Corey. And so then you got to trust that when they get out there in life, and for me, when they get outside our home and they get outside of our purview, that's that spin cycle. What is life taking them through? Did we do enough that the dirt doesn't fall back on them?
Ooh,
did we do enough that life doesn't negatively impact them? That's that first spin cycle. And then there's that moment in life. And this is why I went through this whole scenario in my head as I'm as I'm watching her, because there's this area in life, Corinne kind of peers back and she says, well, Dad, you got anything you need me to wash?
Wow. I love it.
Right?
Yep.
And what hit me there is that rinse cycle where we're measuring the fabric softener. And I say, well, what kind of fabric softener do you have? Because, I just don't want anything. I don't want my clothes feeling any old kind of way. And she showed me the fabric softener that I've used all my life. And she said, Dad, no, you taught me well. This is the one that works well for me. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, because we had to learn certain fabric softeners are sensitive and an irritant to Corinne's skin. And so she said, since you taught me this is what works well for me, then it'll work well for you, because this is what we've always used, and in order to keep our clothes protected and things like that. And I thought to myself there that, I'm going to be good with this one. And I did that with Corey, and I do that with Daniela. I'm going to be good with them, because the very things that I taught them, they're now able to use to make sure they can care for me. When that time comes, and that was for me a great understanding, example, illustration, if you will, of the life cycle, because at some point all of our kids are going to become adults, and just like Nikki, you and I were raised by mom and dad, they're now up in age, and we're now saying to them, we have now this resolve to care for them. And here's the thing about that resolve to care for them. That only comes because they put enough, they balanced, they measured enough love with life lessons. They measured enough care with allowing character to be built. They measured enough reward with reprimand. If you don't measure enough as a parent, it will be indicative when it comes time for your kids to become a caretaker over you.
For you.
If you didn't balance enough, you didn't measure
Yeah.
enough, you may have some kids that be like, nah, I'm just going to hang you out to dry.
Yep.
Nah, I'm just going to leave you good. Like, you know, and so that was that moment where I know when we say to mom, like I've said to dad, you need to do this. Dad, you need to do that. Dad, you can't just be out there by yourself. You're going to have to come to one of us. And I'm saying it to him in a very parental state. And this is what I love. This is what's so crazy in that moment. Dad is like, I know.
Yeah.
Now, and this is why I say that's crazy. If I'd have said, Dad, you need to eat. Dad, you need to cook. When I was young, Dad would be like, you better get in there. And, right? Who you think you're talking to? But because he balanced enough, he knows that my words aren't just saying, go do it. My because I said so is coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of genuine care, a place of genuine honor and respect and adoration. And so there's so much that we have to be careful to do as parents, so much that our parents had to be careful to do as parents, that ensure that end of life season, that end of life cycle, that end of life full circle comes where it's easier for us as children to make the transition as parenting our parents. And if you didn't measure enough, that transition's tough for your kids. It is really tough for your kids if you didn't balance and measure enough of what they need to both grow into adulthood, but then also be a great caretaker of just family and loved ones. And in this case of parents. And so for me, that's kind of how I'm setting up, this topic or this thought process of this life cycle. Are we doing enough as parents? Did you get enough as a child? Did you get enough from your parents that when it comes time for that transition and you begin to parent the parent, it's easy for you? Because it ain't going to be easy for everybody.
No. Even if you are equipped, sometimes it's, still a challenge. So that's so good. I love the laundry cycle analogy. I think it's just profound. And when I was spending some time kind of thinking about this particular episode, you had already reminded me in an earlier, meeting, we were talking about this about just parenting styles and absolutely how our parents, parent each child differently. And I don't really have the journey to understand that because Malachi is my only son. Although our mom living here, I'm getting a little taste. I'm getting a little taste of the differences. But one thing, and you kind of hinted at this earlier in the sound off segment, I think of parenting in kind of 3 phases, and I think it definitely kind of coincides with the laundry cycle. But I was breaking down kind of how we parent these 3 phases and then kind of comparing that to our parents. So, phase 1 is the pure parenting. This is like the title of the episode because I said so. Do what I say. Our goal in that phase is shaping, guiding the behavior and the development. Absolutely. In the words of our mothers used to say this to me all the time, growing up. I run this, you run around in it. Like that was it. That was the parenting phase. The same as because I said so, right? Right. It's like, and so I definitely think that phase typically goes, through like high school graduation, but it's the guiding, it's the shaping because you want to hopefully positively influence, impact the behavior and the development of your child. Right. The second phase you referenced, I think you called it cheerleading. I often call it coaching. Phase because you're still hands-on, you're right there in every game, you're at the sidelines. And this phase, sometimes takes as long as it takes. We love, I think as parents, you want coaching phase to end, mid-20s, right?
Absolutely you do.
But
as soon as you graduate from college,
cap.
coaching should end.
But no, it's exactly. As soon as you get out of college, coaching should end. Usually we put a hard cap about 30. That's usually when you hear you 30. No, you're 30. Like, I'm not dealing with nothing. I don't care. Right. Mom, I broke my arm. 30. Get your insurance, go to the hospital, take some Robitussin. You're 30. Right? Like, whatever that is. And so that coaching phase is, again, we're still a bit hands-on, definitely interactive, still inserting where we need to. And then the third phase for me would be the advisor or advising phase. And that's like 30s and up. And the biggest difference between phase 1 and 2 versus 3 is phase 1 and 2, the parent, the coach is not only interactive, but they also are the ones that typically initiate, right? Like I'm stepping in because I need to. We've all seen those coaches, right, wrong, or different, call a timeout and grab somebody, be like, what did I tell you to do?
Right.
And then push them back out there, right? Like it's always initiated by the parent or the coach. What I love about the third phase of the advisor is advisors never chase their mentees or, the people. You come to them. They make sure that they're accessible, but the initiation is on, the child or the person that's seeking the advice.
Absolutely.
And so I was breaking these down and kind of gleefully because I'm trying to quickly push your nephew through.
Into consulting. I am 13 years old. Why are you a consultant?
Pushing him fast track through the advising stage. But what was interesting, and you just set it up beautifully in breaking down the laundry analogy, is that our parents, so mom, for me, and I can't wait to hush so you can give me your thoughts, mom clearly and pretty effectively hit all 3 phases of me. Clearly parented, clearly coached, and is clearly advisory. Our father stayed 100% at the age of 0 months. He was an advisor. Period for me.
Right.
I'm just going to be straight. I love my dad to death. I was birthed. He hugged me, kissed my forehead, and was like, come find me when you need me.
Right.
That is it. And I'm telling you guys.
Hours are.
My office hours, right? Purely like advisory. Even at our, my wedding, I remember Dad saying everybody was kind of giving thoughts at the reception and, positive things. And Dad clearly said, Nikki, I don't give advice. Ralph, let you know, I don't give advice. Right? But come find me if you need me. Like, just kind of like, that's all I'm going to say. And then he sat down, didn't say nothing else the rest of the reception. Right. So I started processing this because you're right. The point we're making here is that absolutely the way that parents raise their children, that style will come full circle. When the adult children, you have to move into the phase. And I think what I like about it is it's reminding me, because I think the beauty of being the child who is stepping into it is you get to choose now. It's not about the age or development. It's like, okay, this is a parenting situation that my mom or dad needs. This is a coaching situation that my mom or dad needs. Right. Or this is an advisory situation. Absolutely. And that's what I'm realizing as I look at my parents. One thing I'll say for our dad was, dad was raised old school Southern. And so he was under the mindset that, it was the women, the moms, the aunties, the grandmothers, they raised the girls. Yeah. And the dads, the uncles, the big brothers raised the boys. So a lot of his hands-off advisory approach for me, because I want to hush in here in a minute so you can tell me, how it was for you, had a lot less to do with whether or not he wanted to do it, although that is his style, but a lot more to do with that's just how he was raised, that, girl issues, girl things, mom, auntie, grandma, y'all handle that. He also was very, very big on, it was very important in terms of his value system that his kids could think for themselves and make their own decisions. And I think growing up for him, he had a lot of experiences that, I don't know if he resented them, but just always bothered him where he didn't have the freedom, to research and question and kind of come up with his own decisions.
No,
I
that
think
clearly bothered Dad a lot.
Yeah, we talked about this in a few other episodes where, he really wanted to be an artist and liberal arts major, but was told, Black men at that time period don't take care of their families that way. And so all of that played into his parenting style, which was I would much rather be an advisor and allow them to get out in this world and try things and read and learn, bump your head, and then figure out what makes the most sense for you. So just as that was kind of his approach with me, I find that now that I'm an adult, when it comes to kind of, looking at what my dad needs, I approach him the same way. I don't try to parent. First of all, our dad ain't finna be parented. Like, he's going to have to basically be mute in a wheelchair, not able to move before he will ever be parented in this life.
Exactly.
As long as his mind is too clear, his mind is too sharp. So I'm wise enough to know there's no parenting. There might be some modest coaching before God calls him home to glory. But biggest thing is advisement. Things like him fussing that he doesn't want to change his bills, his bills over to paperless and electronic. Like he will call and go off on the receptionist or the person working at the local Sprint store and say, do you want this money or not? I'm going to send you a check.
because
So if you ain't taking a check, you ain't gonna get paid. Like that's what's gonna happen.
It is not my fault you weren't taught how to fill out a check. But this is money. This is legal tender.
So it's like you gonna want it or you don't. And so when I think about parents and coaching, they're guardians, right? And they insert themselves into that. But I learned that where our dad is now, even at 70, plus, he is not in need of guardianship.
No.
He's in need of maybe some gentle advisement. And so that's what I do is I reach out, I check in, I offer, and then if I don't get upset, if he's kind of like, no, leave me alone, I don't need that, I'm fine, because I understand that's part of his parenting style. And there's no love lost. I get that. Right. So I think your point about the parenting styles and how you receive it and dealing with it too, because there can be some hurt, which we'll unpack a little bit later. Absolutely. But I understood that was his flow. Whereas mom, we are full-fledged into coaching borderline parenting. It changes. I already gave everybody an example of the social media situation.
Oh, God.
But some good examples, and I think that's what's so, and it's the last thing I'll say, and I'm going to kick it back to you, but what's so important about, kind of looking at it in those phases is that, with the social media, that was a parent, we had to step in and had to handle it. But, things like I've been talking to mom the last year or two about, changing things in her diet. And I'm going to tell you, bro, when I mentioned like meatless or plant-based stuff, like maybe a year or 2 years ago, she would get ashy around the lips, her whole face would contort. She would be, I would have this call into people, like, let's put the blood of Jesus over her. And she'd be like, what you mean? A diet with no meat? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, where I was raised? And your mom, this last 2 weeks, and this is about the coaching aspect of it, I didn't try to force it as a parent.
Right.
I just started integrating things in our, in our home and in the kitchen and the groceries. She is now making from scratch, like vegan bean patties.
Love
and
it. Zoodle,
like pastas that are all plant-based and
Zoodles,
watching YouTube. But she's actually making her own, like not buying the prepackaged. Right. She actually has a device and she's on YouTube. She's subscribed to like 20 different YouTube vegan people. And she's like, he's great. He doesn't do anything processed. And I'm like, now 2 years ago. But that's the beauty of understanding the difference between parenting, because I said so, coaching, which sometimes is still because I said so, but in a different way, and advising. And I understood in that space that she may never choose to eat plant-based or healthy. And that's okay, someone who's 70 plus, but I can still coach in that way. And if it works for her, it's kind of like you telling your player, like, jump when you shoot a jump shot, or bend your knees, or keep your hand up. And they may never do it, but eventually you keep saying it and you see them, he left his hand up like Steph Curry.
Right.
He bent his knees a little bit. And so that's what I love in terms of analyzing the phases, is it is teaching me how to handle our parents as we transition to that. But I'd love to know from you, do you feel like mom and dad had those 3 phases with you, or was it a completely different phase? Like, what was your experience?
So I know that mom and dad had the ability to have those 3 phases. But see, I'm going to come at it from a different angle, whereas you came from it as from the parents' side. I think Andre, am the one that chose which phases I would allow them to have with me.
Good point. Very good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you and I are 2 totally different people. So whereas you see mom and dad hands-on, you see 2 phases hands-on, your personality is one that said you'll allow hands-on.
Yeah, welcoming to it.
I was not that kid.
Yeah,
so I was not a hands-on kid. With me, they were absolutely hands-off. Not because they wanted it, but because Andre gave it to them from toddlerhood. Don't touch me. Leave me alone in the playpen.
Give me space. Yeah.
Riding me, taking me to school. I'm not talking to you. I'm in my own head. I'm just, entertain yourself with the Temptations on your radio. But we ain't finna have no conversation on our way to elementary school. So, I mean, there's just different ways in which they had to raise me because of what I would allow. But here's the thing. There's also part of the phases you saw because of the mistakes they made with me.
Yes, and you were the first child, which is important.
I was the first child. So with me, there were times where they were like, ooh, we ain't gonna do that again. So when you came around, it was like, can I innocently go to this place? Oh, hell no. Why? Like, why not? Because I said so. But what you don't know about your because I said so is Andre left trauma on our behalf there.
Right.
That's where you can't go. Andre created trauma that we don't
have
talk
medical
about.
bills.
Right,
We
right.
have
You know, there were certain things you asked to do that Dad's neck would start twitching. And you'd be like, what's going on? And I'm like, no. And you're trying to figure out, what did I
We
do?
don't speak
You
of
did
that.
nothing. You did absolutely nothing, Nikki. But PTSD from Andre. And we ain't gonna make that mistake again. And so it's not just you know, their filter. No, it's what
Sure,
I
that's good.
allowed them to do. So first of all, I didn't allow them to be hands-on. I was
Yeah.
an introvert. So I
Yeah.
lived in my head. And I remain that way today. I live in
Yeah.
my head, which means by the time you hear me say something, I've already gone over every scenario life can possibly throw at me. And I've
Yeah.
decided that what I'm saying, that's what I'm doing. So there
Yeah,
was no
that's good.
opportunity for them to be able to
For them to get-
coach or parent. There
Yeah.
was only opportunity for them to
Yeah.
advise and be like,
Yeah.
well, now that you've said it, you've already done it, but let me
Done
tell
it,
you
the
why you
damage is
should not
done.
have done it. Right? Let me tell you why that's not what you should have done. So like, I didn't give them a chance to parent or coach because I was in my head and living my
That's good.
my own life. And
Yeah.
and so, you know, but then also there's gender specifics, kind of like you said.
Sure.
There are some places you didn't get to go that I
Mhm.
got to go simply because you were a girl and I
Yep.
was a guy.
Yep.
So they're literally saying like, nah, I let Andre go there because he knows how to dodge bullets. I
Yeah.
can't let you go because not because you don't know how to dodge bullets. I don't want my baby shot. It's
Yeah.
okay if Andre gets shot.
He runs
I
pretty
don't want
fast.
you shot. Like, it's okay. And we good. We good. Listen, we're learning from Andre's hospital visit.
Right.
You can't go there. We're learning from all these areas that we made a mistake with Andre. So now, you know, that's why you weren't allowed to do certain things, go certain places.
Yeah.
You know, there's just certain triggers that they were like,
Listen,
yeah,
we've
nah.
already established I have difficulty
That's
ducking,
it.
so clear.
Right, exactly that part. And then, you know, you said, listen, that's why I never argued with Dad smoking all the time. Most of those cigarettes were me. Most of them were me. Like, I got to smoke these cools on my nerves. Because, man, look it.
Otherwise, it'll be worse.
Look it. The reason why I ain't trying to talk to you kids is because what Andre did. Andre tried my patience so much that I'm just going to sit here and mind my own business because it ain't working. Maybe if I stay at work for 12 hours, I'll miss 4 hours of Andre's
Right.
foolishness.
Right.
Like,
He'll
you
be
know,
asleep.
right. He'll be asleep. I ain't got to learn about his day. So there's a lot of, so to me, those are some of the things that pour into the
Yeah.
differences in how they raise. But there's a full circle outcome as well.
Mhm.
So because I'm an introvert, Mom is not an introvert.
Mm-mm, at all. Nope.
So I'm saying to myself, yeah, I just want to be in advisement with Mom because
Yeah.
she'll talk me to death and
To
she'll overshare stuff. And it's just, you know, whereas I'm looking at, that's why I can say to Dad, no, Dad, I need you to be by somebody close. You cannot stay where you are. You
Yeah.
got to go. Why? Because if Dad says he's coming here, Dad, I can look at in the morning. We'll nod at each other and we'll talk to each other next week and we'll be good.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we good. And that's all I need. That's all I
Yep.
need.
And that's all he
Whereas
needs.
Mom, if I make eye contact with Mom, it's a 3-hour conversation. And I
Yep.
just wanted to say good morning. And now I don't even want to say that. I got to tiptoe out my own house because I done don't make eye contact. So that's the thing. And I know you mentioned that, you know, you don't have that experience as a parent because you just have Malachi, but
Mhm.
I'm looking at Daniela, Corinne, and Corey,
Absolutely.
and I'm seeing how it comes for full circle.
Sure.
Because
Yep.
the truth of the matter is Daniela, I didn't get to parent her until
Sure,
she was
sure.
in her 30s.
Yep.
But I got the phase of parenting because she allowed it.
Yeah,
And part of the reason why I didn't get to, because I was 16 when she was born.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to parent when I'm still being parented as much as I'll allow, right?
That's so good.
And so I couldn't parent her. But now in her 30s, she's allowed me to parent her because for her, it's, I miss this and I want this.
That's
Whereas
so good.
Corinne, I got to parent her different. With Corinne, I'm not kidding you. I got to look at a dictionary and a thesaurus before I talk to her.
She's brilliant.
Because she'll turn the tables of intellect on me and I'll feel like the kid. And then it just gets ugly. At that point, it just gets ugly because then I just start getting ghetto. Like, well, that's why you slow.
You like I tell you.
Right. So I had to parent her different. And then with Corey's my emotional one. So I actually have to pray for my patience before I parent Corey because everything comes from emotions from her.
Sure.
And she's really moody. I can say one thing wrong and the mood changes and now we got problems. I can say one thing right, the mood changes and now we're great. So I have to be very patient. Otherwise, I'll start to discipline her mood instead of her.
Right.
And when I discipline her mood, she misses the message in the moment. And therefore, I exited my own self out of parenting because of what I did. But so I'm seeing the full circle filter. And I'm seeing that, dad and I had a different relationship than you and dad. Mom and I have a different relationship than you and mom. Part of it is because of what I allowed. And part of it is because of just kind of who they were filtering whatever their, as you said it, their areas of parenting are, whether it's parenting, coaching, or advising. And
value system.
That makes up our very specific relationship and and so then now I'm looking at Daniela. When it comes to the end of life, Daniela, she's going to say, Dad, no, you two come with me. You, your wife, you all living with me. When you're older. That's Daniela all day long. And that's because she allowed me to parent her into her adulthood. So therefore, I'm going to end up allowing her to parent me in my senior citizenship.
That's so good.
Corinne's going to be like, nah, Dad, I'm going to put you in a home. I make enough money. I'm going to put you in a home. It'll be a nice home. And I'll come check on you when you got the time. I ain't going to let you just, die in your squalor in your own place. I'm going to put you in a nice home, but you ain't finna live with me. And that's because Corinne allowed my parenting to go so far. And then right around middle school, she was like, time for you to advise. That's it. Yeah. Time for you to advise. That's it. And then, and then Corey won't make the decision. Corey be like, whatever you want to do, Dad. I don't feel like dealing with this right now. This is too heavy for me. I don't feel like that. I'll support whatever choice you make. Because Corey is that emotional one. Corey she allowed me to parent her to a certain point. Then I had to turn into a coach for her at a certain point. And so much of coaching is emotion based, not parental based.
That's
right.
Good. That's good.
So she allowed me to become a coach early on. And at some point I will move into advisement, but Corey still allows me to coach her. Corinne, advisement. Daniela actually allows me to parent her. Because it started so late.
So the dynamics,
the dynamics. So that's why I say, so it's different for every kid. It really is different for every kid. Your style is different for every kid. The impact you have both on the raising, the rearing, and then the adult relationship. It's different for every kid. But it does impact like how the kid will return to you when it's time for the kid to parent the parent.
Yeah. You bring up such a great example in terms of the importance of resolving any parenting issues. And that's a two-way street, but I love with the examples of my nieces, that they actively, in a healthy way, resolve how they work with you and how I'm sure they work with their mom and Daniela working with you. And I think that's an important point to, for this conversation is we've seen examples of, unfortunate things and life happens. No one's perfect, right, wrong, or indifferent, and not excusing any poor parenting, but also encouraging all of us, whether you're the parent or the child, to resolve the issues or do the best you can to understand your parenting style if you're a parent, understand how you parented your children, right, wrong, or indifferent, and give them space to contend with that. So that, everyone can hopefully resolve it because it is going to come full circle. I was thinking of an extended family member, Bro, who, and she had a really unfortunate situation where she and her brother, when they were probably middle school age, maybe
Mm-hmm.
late elementary, middle school age. Their mom left their father, moved, from the Midwest to California and
Mm-hmm.
married a new man, started a new family, and left them there to be raised, with the father. And
Mm-hmm.
then maybe some 4 or 5 years later, brought this particular family member out to California to live here with the new
Mm-hmm.
family. I think the
Mm-hmm.
son or the brother stayed, but I bring this example up because I knew this extended family member well into like her late 80s, and I could still actually see um, the anger,
Oh yeah.
the bitterness, the
Oh yeah.
hurt for all those years, of her mom leaving her. And I'm not, going to comment, on the right or wrong, any of that, but I am speaking to the fact that she still had not gotten to a point, and she was now in her mid to late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
She still hadn't gotten to the point where she was able to forgive her mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because she hadn't been able to do that, she actually physically wasn't able to. She chose not to participate in her mom's burial.
Wow.
She wasn't active in her mom's life.
Wow. Yeah.
And her mom lived in the same city, and it became
Ouch.
an issue because her children, so her, the grandchildren now
Oh
had
yeah.
different opinions to the.
That's
And I
it. It's
watched it.
passed
I was
down.
I was watching it, and then what was really hurtful is now her children, because she was so adamant about, attempting to raise them differently, which obviously, she didn't leave them. But because of that hurt, they ended up feeling disconnected from their mom,
Oh
her
yeah.
children.
Oh
And
yeah.
so then, that was something in later years she was saying, and I don't know why my kids don't do more. I did everything for them. But it was
Mm-hmm.
still rooted in the brokenness that came from, poor parenting, or just, I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't say poor, just parenting issues that weren't resolved, because who
Oh yeah.
knows what the reason was for, for the mom to leave like that. But it's so important that it doesn't have to be obviously as extreme as something like that, but we have to first just assess, like, and that's what I enjoyed about, producing this episode, is I started thinking about, okay, how did my mom and dad parent me? And I love the points that
Mm-hmm.
you're bringing up of how did we receive it. So it's just so important that it may hurt, but take the time to do the work of leaning in and thinking about that and
Oh
seeing
yeah.
if there are some issues that need to be resolved, unspoken apologies that need to be said on either
Oh yeah.
side. Even if you're
Yeah.
the person, you're the child, that you might need to pick up the phone and have that conversation, or go by and see them and say, you know what, I always wish this had happened, or you never did this, or this always bothered me, because it's going to come full circle, and then you're going to have to contend with the aftermath of you now
Right.
being the child that's supposed to be caregiving. You're
Right.
gonna have to contend. And we actually have a cousin who, she dealt with something very similar, where she and her mom did not get along. And so when it came time for her mom, where mom needed caregiving, her mom actually chose to go stay with a surrogate, like a surrogate son, like someone who
Mm-hmm.
wasn't blood
Mm-hmm.
related, but who she had helped out because they had a healthy relationship. So rather than her staying with her own birth daughter, her own birth sons, she actually went to stay with someone else who she had kind of just been a surrogate mom to, because the relationship was healthy. And clearly there
Right.
just wasn't a space where they could resolve it. But that particular daughter, once her mom passed away, she always was so angry, and took the anger out on the surrogate son. Like, well, you
Right.
guys didn't take care of
Wow.
my mom. You guys didn't take care
Wow.
of this and do what you're supposed to do. But the
Yeah.
real hurt, we all know, was no, you
You
didn't
didn't. Mm-hmm.
step in. You
Right.
didn't figure out a way to resolve or talk about
Right.
whatever the issues were. And now your mom is
Right.
deceased. And so that's just a gentle nudge to say, hey,
Absolutely it is.
just dig deeper, resolve it. Hey, savage siblings. Ooh wee. You guys know, my brother and I, we can talk. This episode got good to us. I don't know, maybe it's because we had free reign to talk about all the ways we are now parenting our parents, or maybe it's because we're learning so much about the nuances of parenting through our own mistakes and victories as parents. I'm not sure, but it got good to us. We actually continued talking for another hour. Yes, I don't know, I'm kind of ashamed to even admit that. Another hour. So, here's what I need you guys to do. I need you to come back and catch part 2 of Because I Said So. You don't want to miss the transformational perspective segment that we got to, the quick shot, which you guys know are always hilarious, and of course Dre's final blow. All that's going to be in part 2 as we finish out the Savage segment. So, as always, thank you so much for joining us for part 1. Please help us build the Savage Siblings community. We need you guys to like, to share, to comment, leave a review, subscribe, send this to your favorite Savage sibling, and then share your thoughts on the cycles of life. You know, when you were children and now maybe you're a parent, what are the differences that you're noticing? We want to hear from you. As always, a huge shout out to our amazing team of folks that make it possible. Dwayne McClendon and Kyle Davis, our sound editors. We love you, gents. Ronnie Maxwell of Maxwell Music. He's our music producer. Keith Cross of K-Cross Photography for all of the amazing photos. A huge shout out to our parents for their DNA and funny life lessons. That's Dean and Dolores Evans. And you guys, the listeners, you guys are always rocking with us, so we're so glad you're here. So until next time, and yes, next time, part 2 coming out. Remember, don't go through life alone. See you soon.